we're here to give notice to Governor DeSantis that if he does not negotiate with the College Board to allow AP African American Studies to be taught in the classrooms across the state of Florida, that these 3 young people will be the lead plaintiffs in a historic lawsuit.
That was civil rights attorney Ben Crump, and he was responding to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' shocking decision to ban AP African American Studies classes from Florida public schools. What DeSantis is doing is clearly discriminatory, and the governor knows it. But DeSantis' response was to double down.
This course, so when I heard it didn't meet the standards, I figured, yeah, they may be doing this here. It's way more than that. This course on Black history, what's one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that an important part of Black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids. And so when you look to see they have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons, that's a political agenda. And so that's the wrong side of the line for Florida standards.
That's right. Ron DeSantis is just fine with teaching Black history, as long as it makes no mention at all about the political issues that have mobilized so many activists across Black history. What Florida Republicans are doing is crystal clear. They're hoping to divorce Black history from Black politics, and in doing so, to hide Florida's terrible legacy on race relations and civil rights. Make no mistake, this isn't Ron DeSantis saying he supports Black history as long as it just teaches the facts, because DeSantis is more than happy to admit he doesn't even understand why we need Black history in the first place.
We want to do history. That's what our standards for Black history are. It's just cut and dried history. You learn all the basics, you learn about the great figures, and I view it as American history. I don't view it as separate history. We have history, a lot of different shapes and sizes. People that have participated to make the country great, people that have stood up when it wasn't easy, and they all deserve to be taught.
Republicans like Ron DeSantis drone on and on about what they call academic choice, but that apparently doesn't extend to a student choosing to take an AP class the governor doesn't like. Do that, and you'll find the entire state mobilized to stop you. Let's dig into what Ron DeSantis is actually saying. The Gov says his main problem with the AP class is that it includes a section about the queer movement, when Ron thinks the class should focus strictly on race. But if we look at the AP U.S. history curriculum, we find almost the exact same section on the history of queer activism. And let's look at the second part of the governor's statement, where he says it's liberal indoctrination to teach high schoolers that the Black civil rights movement has often embraced prison reform and even prison abolition. By Ron's own standard, that's just documented history. So what's the problem? Well, for one, talking about prison abolition is likely to upset the for-profit prison executives who have skirted Florida law to funnel millions of dollars into Ron DeSantis' campaigns. Almost 10% of DeSantis' total campaign fund comes from money bundled from private prisons and private schools. That's a weird coincidence. And it isn't just that Ron DeSantis is holding Florida's public schools hostage to his own political indoctrination. He's also making Florida students less competitive for higher education. That's also no mistake. Surveys have repeatedly shown that college and postgraduate education makes Americans more liberal. Florida definitely doesn't want any of that. There's a saying in the Black activist community: white privilege is when your history is the curriculum and everyone else's is an elective. But Ron DeSantis is going even further than that. In Florida, non-white history doesn't even get to be an elective anymore, and the governor is willing to use the power of the state to make sure Black Floridians only learn his brand of history. But DeSantis is getting heat from an unexpected source: Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who promised that Illinois would reject any African American studies course that is revised to meet the demands of Florida's right-wing Republicans. And Pritzker is right. The only way to force this issue is to apply market pressure. Without state support, the College Board dries up. So far, the College Board is moving forward with its plan to issue a revised, DeSantis-approved version of Black history on February 1st. But with lawsuits at the ready, Civil rights groups are preparing to do everything in their power to stop that curriculum from going into force. So far, the White House has been disappointingly silent. Republicans aren't just banning books and words like gay from our classrooms. They're taking up the red pen and rewriting history in their own image. If the far right is allowed to enforce its anti-woke insanity on groups like the College Board, nothing stops them from rewriting all of public education. It's time for blue state governors to act. If you made it to the end, thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like and consider subscribing. And leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.